What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. I know I'm late with today's video. I wanted to give yesterday's video a little bit of time to grow and reach whoever it needed to reach, because I felt like it was an important video, right? Today, as I was scrolling through YouTube, I ran across a few different channels, and they were interviewing people that were incarcerated, and I'll put up pictures of a few of them. You know, the deadliest guys on death row, and somebody that was a teen when they committed their, they unalived somebody, and San Quentin, the worst prison. And when you look at these videos as they pop up on the screen, when you look at them, you notice they get millions and millions of views. And I get it. They have production behind them. They have money behind them. Piers Morgan is a guy that's known pretty much across the board. He's not a softball interviewer. And I'm not saying that any of them are in the ones that I showed. Those are just random ones that I was showing, because I didn't want to scroll and look for a bunch of them, right? But the thing that I trip out on is this. As good as Piers Morgan is, and as good as these other guys are at asking a question, they never lived it. And you look at a lot of platforms, and I'm not saying just mine, I'm saying across the board, ex-convicts who have done time and can really decipher fact from fiction, facts from fluff. When you're interviewing these dudes and they're telling you what they tell you. When you're interviewing cops, like in the San Quentin one, and you're able to like decipher, like, okay, this dude has an agenda. He wants to paint the CDC in a certain light and the convicts in a certain light, right? When you have interviewers that can't do that can't decipher those things, maybe the content is more sensational because of the B-roll, the editing and stuff like that, and the machine behind them. But honestly, I feel like there are so many content creators of all ethnicities, and not just California guys, but that are ex-convicts who went to prison, fortunately learned a lesson, have gotten out here, have been able to go full-time on YouTube, social media, take care of their family, and live a blessed life. They're not getting those million views. I feel like the two most successful, just off the top of my head, the two most successful consistently are 23andMe. Josh over there at 23andMe. Shout out to him. If you guys don't know the channel, go check it out. And the second one, he doesn't do prison content. He's an ex-convict who figured out a lane and has mastered it. And that's JD DeLay. I feel like those two guys really, really do a good job. I think that when we look at true crime, incarceration in America, a lot of people are really stuck on the sensational stuff. Me personally, when I look at incarceration, when I tell stories about incarceration, I always want to have a message, or try to have a message for you guys, right? I know there are people that watch my content that disagree with me on the fact that I do not whatsoever believe that incarceration should be punishment. I really, really, truly believe incarceration should be, like California has that model now. Incarceration should be incentive-based with a lot of push towards rehabilitation. There's people that are like, now if they did the crime, they should do the time. Exactly, they should. But the reality of the situation is, and I say it all the time, a lot of you guys that follow me for a long time, you've heard it, but I always say this: the vast majority of those who get incarcerated in California, they return back to the communities within 8 years, I believe it is, 8 to 10 years. And if we're housing these men who are, they don't even realize they're suffering from some trauma. That's why they chose the gang. The ones that others know that they are suffering from an addiction. But if these things aren't addressed, or there isn't that effort to address those things and expand their mind while they're incarcerated, if we treat them like animals, lock them down, let them take each other out, and then just plop the survivors in random communities throughout California, throughout the United States, I think it's not a surprise what's going to happen. I've talked about the California Youth Authority, how I truly believe it was an experiment, the worst experiment ever by the state as far as with teenagers, with youth. The California Youth Authority was brutal. It was brutal, and it created monsters. I always say, in my experience, from what I saw, guys that in my era that went to YA, the California Youth Authority, the vast majority of them, within 6 months of release, were either no longer alive or they were fighting a homicide case. Facts. That right there, that cycle of creating violent kids, violent young adults, and releasing them into the communities with a chip on their shoulder, it led to long-term, thousands and thousands and thousands of long-term offenders for the California Department of Corrections. And I feel like society out here in the free world, society has been kept in the dark about the truths and the realities of the way people are incarcerated. I think that more content creators, look, to each their own, everybody does what they're comfortable with and they're successful in their own ways. But I feel like we should do more to try to have a message, to try to stem the flow of men and women into the Department of Corrections. I think we should try to push. We should try to push the people of our communities. And when I say our communities, that's black, brown, poor. Poor. Doesn't matter ethnic. Poor is in all ethnicities, right? I think we should be focusing on trying to make a push to get them to educate themselves. And if they're lucky enough to have a mentor where maybe college isn't their thing, maybe law school isn't their thing, maybe there's a mentor that they know, an entrepreneur that they can shadow and learn from. But I think we're way past the point where glorifying criminality is cool. I'm telling you guys, prison, I can only speak on my experience in California prisons, right? California prisons are full of very violent men who do not want to see their children or their loved ones enter that system. They want the best for them. And if we really want the best for our loved ones, then we should want the best for everybody's loved ones, right? I don't know. It just hit me. It jumped out at me when I was scrolling today, and I saw these great podcasts, great content creators. But when they want to do something about former criminals or current incarcerated individuals, I feel like they're a fish out of water. There's certain questions that they're going to ask in order to get people to click, right? But getting people to understand that there's a better way of living, I think, is more important than a click. And that's why I do these videos now and then where I know, look, this isn't going to get a lot of views. It's not going to get a lot of views, but hopefully it provokes a positive thought. Hopefully it provokes a positive action or reaction. Hopefully it provokes positive dialogue. You know, I see people that are very, very set in their ways. Their mind is just ironclad shut on that I shouldn't be out of prison. That anyone who takes a life, regardless of the situation, they don't deserve freedom. I respect that if you feel like that. And all I ask when people give me their opinion and it's that, I always ask them, hey, keep that same energy if it happens to be your son that defends himself. If it happens to be your son that, for whatever reason, chooses the streets over his own last name. Keep that same energy that you want that your child to remain incarcerated. And you can't be like, well, wait a minute, it's different because I know the facts. There's facts behind everything. Believe me, there are men in prison that deserve to be there. There's also a vast majority of men and women behind the walls that are redeemable. Anyhow, I don't want to make this a long video. It's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.